Welcome to the third episode of the SG1 Wrestling Podcast. We just had one of the craziest weekends of wrestling with the King and Queen of the Ring tournament in Saudi Arabia, as well as Double or Nothing for AEW in Vegas, right?
Yep. Yeah, I thought this was pretty good back-to-back pay-per-view weekend. I can't really remember the last time we've had back-to-back pay-per-views like that, but yeah, it was really fun. It was a lot of wrestling though. I was very tired going into Monday.
For sure. Do you think the King of the Ring tournament, King and Queen of the Ring tournament plus AEW Double or Nothing equals out to like two better cards than like WrestleMania?
Probably not, just because Mania was like the buildup of all the stories we've been wanting for the past year, and the Sammy and Gunther had their match.
Yeah.
And I don't think any of the matches this past weekend were as good as that. And then you had Cody and Roman, which was also great. And then the tag match too, Rock and Roman versus Seth and Cody was really good. So
for sure, like especially night 2 of WrestleMania.
Yeah, but if this is the B-level pay-per-views, like we're cooking because two great shows this weekend. So
yeah, for sure. I mean, great match. Speaking of a good weekend of wrestling, the first match of the weekend, Becky Lynch versus Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan gets her second women's title with the help of Dominic Mysterio. Now, we're recording this Tuesday after Monday Night Raw, and now we know some more stuff that happened between Liv and Dom and Becky, kind of. What do you think of it?
Okay, so I'm a big Liv fan, so I've been waiting for Liv to win the championship ever since they botched her first run with the Ronda feud. So I was really excited about this weekend going into it because I kind of thought this was kind of how it would go. But I think her and Becky probably had Liv's best pay-per-view match one-on-one that I've seen. And so yeah, and I think it was their best match too. They had some good matches on Raw a couple years ago whenever Becky was big time. And yeah, I thought this was their best match, and I didn't think the Steel Cage Reed match was as good.
I also think the Raw crowd was pretty bad last night. Yeah. Like I think the Saudi show, the crowd was better, and I think their match was also a bit better. But the crowd did none of the Monday Night Raw from last night any favors.
Yeah, and then the Dom stuff it's so interesting just because we've been seeing it in the background for the past couple months. And so it's just been kind of building, and then all of a sudden, now he's pulling up to cost her in the match, but actually he's helping her, as we can all see. And then he's acting innocent whenever she kisses him, but we all kind of know what's going down. So should lead to a good feud.
I don't think they're going to do a story where Dom is trying to betray Rhea. I think Liv is going to like flip Dom. But I don't think Dom is currently on Liv's side. Like, I think everything so far has been a mistake. Because it's kind of Liv just stealing Dom away. Maybe JD we saw on Raw as well. And, I mean, maybe Liv become the new leader of the Judgment Day. I mean, it doesn't look like Damien's still going to be there for a long time, so.
Yeah. I think we got to have the Liv versus Rhea ladder match with Dom's contract up, but that has to happen. So
absolutely, at SummerSlam.
If Rhea can go, I doubt she'll be ready to have a ladder match by SummerSlam, but it'll happen.
Yeah. Now, did you think this match was better or worse than the Mercedes Moné versus Willow Nightingale match?
No, I thought Mercedes had the best match of the weekend, but this was one of Liv's best matches. So I thought it was really good.
The best overall match, or
no, the best women's match.
Women's match, okay.
It might be like, no, I probably wouldn't say it's the best match, but it's up there.
So I saw this stat that said that the Mercedes Moné versus Willow Nightingale match was the longest females match in AEW history at like 18 minutes. Is that true?
It could be. I don't know.
I find that very interesting. Like, I mean, makes sense for Mercedes to be in the longest match.
I feel like they've had some pretty long ones. I've seen some like Sheeta matches that are pretty long, honestly. So I don't know. We'd have to look it up.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that could be true or false. I don't know. But the
Yeah.
next match from the King Queen of the Ring tournament was Sami Zayn versus Chad Gable versus Bronson Reed for the Intercontinental title. This was a crazy match. I mean, you had Chad Gable do a German suplex to Bronson Reed and Sami Zayn at the same time. I mean, that was crazy. What did you think of that?
Yeah, I thought it was really good. It's a good way to have Sammy and Chad face each other again, but not just in a 1v1 or in
Mm-hmm.
just a stipulation. You add in another man, and Bronson deserves a chance to shine. So I was glad, and the match was a banger. I was probably the best match on that show, I would say. And yeah, and talking about the Monday after, Gable
Mm-hmm.
berating all his people because he
Yep.
lost. Yeah, it's just so I think Gable's reaching that next level. He's on his Kurt Angle rise right now.
Yeah, the Saudi crowd was chanting, "You suck."
Dude, that was
Mm-hmm.
perfect. I saw the Raw crowd do it like the week
Yep.
before. I was like, that needs to be a thing.
Absolutely. This Raw crowd didn't do it, or I mean, I don't think they did. They're pretty quiet. So, but
Yeah, I didn't notice
also,
it.
you had the moment where Gable was ordering Otis to hit Sammy with a clothesline,
Yeah,
and then
and then he
Otis
accidentally
hesitates too
hit
much.
Gable.
Yep, yep. So
Yeah,
I'd wonder if they're gonna build to another Sammy versus Gable match, or if they're gonna skip that and do a Gable versus Otis match, or can we come back around to Sammy versus Gable?
yeah. I think all this ends with Sammy versus Gable probably at
Mm-hmm.
SummerSlam,
Hope so.
but there could be a match in between to where we get uh iteration of Sammy versus Gable and Otis or whatever, with like Otis on the line, or you know what I
Otis.
mean.
Yeah.
Otis's Otis's allegiance on the line.
Yeah, I bet. Okay. So on Raw, we saw Lyra Valkyria versus Kairi Sane. And I just gotta say, I was happy to see Lyra alive after how Nia
Yeah,
just, oh my goodness. It looked like
that was a
Nia
brutal
literally
finish.
killed Lyra. I mean, it was pretty good. Like, it was a good match. I mean, Nia's just been better, and it's like, it's good to know Lyra's not hurt. If Lyra gets hurt there, I mean, imagine all the hate for Nia. I mean,
Yeah,
maybe deservedly so. I mean, what do you think?
yeah, that was a bump for sure. I
Mm-hmm.
thought Nia was probably a pretty good winner. I think she's a good heel for Bailey to go up against, so it makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Uh, Lyra still getting a push, as we said. She beat Kairi Sane. Then after the match, you had Io Sky just go ballistic.
Yeah, and
So
Kyrie could have won that match too. Like they're
mhm,
pushing Lyra pretty hard, so
they
she's
really are.
getting a good rep. Yeah.
Bash at Berlin, maybe she'll be in a title match. I mean, or Clash.
I could definitely see her and Liv having multiple matches. I think that's the
Hmm.
feud they're gonna want going forward
Hmm,
for
for sure.
sure.
Then we had Gunther versus Randy. It was a great match. Like, you put these two in a ring. I think if they had another match, it probably would have been better. Like, now that they felt like, feel each other out and everything. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like the match wasn't too memorable.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. Like
Hmm.
the match itself was great. They just screwed the finish up, rightfully or wrong. Like
Hmm.
we're not gonna know if they meant to do it or they didn't. But
Yeah.
the finish is just the big question mark, and that's what kind of hurt the match for me.
I do like how they are mentioning it. Like, was it
Yeah,
Drew or Priest? I think it was Priest who said you didn't even beat Randy because Gunther was saying how Priest didn't even earn the championship; he cashed in his money to bank.
yeah,
So then Priest was like, "Well, you didn't even beat Randy, so you shouldn't even be getting your title shot."
yeah.
So,
And then Triple H brought it up too. He was
mhm.
saying that he saw the finish and that how it was controversial.
And the ref's decision is final, and that's it.
Yep.
After that, that's when they announced the Drew versus Priest match at Clash at the Castle. I know you have some controversial takes on if you think Priest or Drew should win. Like, go ahead.
So they already announced a match between Priest and Jey Uso for the Garden Show after Clash at the Castle. and a lot of people are predicting that CM Punk's going to screw Drew in Glasgow. If that happens, that is so dumb. Drew should be the world champion. He's the best wrestler in WWE and best character right now and this year. He deserves the ball.
Okay, so but the thing is, Gunther is
Yeah.
winning the championship at SummerSlam. That's a fact. Like
And
I don't.
he can.
But you only want Drew to have a 2-month-long title reign.
I'm cool with it. Punk,
I
I
mean,
don't even know if Punk's going to be ready for SummerSlam. Like we don't know that.
I think he will. I mean, we saw him we saw him at Mania getting physical. I mean, we saw him take off the cast. I think he's going to be ready by SummerSlam. And it's like
We shall see.
that match is going to happen. And I mean, Gunther beating Drew would be bigger for Gunther. But I mean, I'm not really worried about Gunther getting over as a champion. It's freaking Gunther. I mean,
Yeah.
you just put him in a match with Ricochet and random Monday Night Raw, and it'll be a banger.
Yeah. What I think maybe the Money in the Bank could come into play too. Like I'm not sure how if Triple H wants to keep the Money in the Bank on somebody for a year like
Not
they
again.
did last year. So maybe he could like have a transitional champion cash in on Drew after like Punk screws him again. Like it's like instead of Priest just winning, say
I
Drew
guess.
wins and then he gets cashed in on. Oh wait, no, Money in the Bank's after.
Yeah, it's
Clash.
after Flash, yeah.
Yeah,
So they'd
but
have to have someone
maybe
cash in Drew
that would be
before
how.
SummerSlam, like Jay
Yeah.
Uso. No,
If
that's
Jay
gonna
Uso
happen
gets the
now.
Money in the Bank, that'd be pretty crazy if he cashed in on
Yeah,
Priest
right away.
and Gunther.
I mean, it would be the face thing to do, cash in right away. So
What if he cashed in like during Gunther's match, bro, and
maybe the
like
triple
pinned
threat.
Priest? Like that'd be crazy.
Yeah, I mean, would they not want to pull the trigger on Gunther right away though? So,
Yeah, that's true.
but I think match of the night was Cody versus Logan Paul. I mean, this match was super fun all around. You had the frog splash from the top rope onto the table where they had the drone shot. Like I saw Logan requested that shot. That was amazing. You had Logan beefing with Michael Cole. Like that was
Yeah.
pretty funny. I mean, going in, we all know Cody's gonna win that match. But Logan, like he got some good attacks in. Like you could believe that Logan was gonna win that match.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of slow at first, and Logan kind of had some botches, but it definitely built.
Mm-hmm.
And Cody's pretty good at pacing the matches to where he can have like a long 25, 30-minute really good match. And he did it again. I think it's 3 in a row. It's him, Roman, him and AJ, and then him and versus Logan, all bangers. So yeah, really good stuff.
I mean, him versus Carmelo on SmackDown was also good.
I'd like that to be on pay-per-view at some point.
Mm-hmm.
We can elevate Carmelo to be a good challenger.
Yeah, that's fair. I was wondering who's Cody's next challenger is going to be. Because if they want to keep giving him challengers at every pay-per-view, there's not many heels on SmackDown left. I mean, they could do face versus face, but...
Yeah, I could see a face versus face. So the next pay-per-view, what do you think Cody's going to defend on? Clash? Or do you
I mean,
think
I could see them wanting to have him defend at every pay-per-view. Like, show that he's a fighting champion.
I think he should have fought AJ again, so maybe I would do that.
Yeah, they already had that story building. I mean, and they already had a great match, so makes sense.
Yeah. I saw something. It was like somebody saying that AJ could be like going back to TNA because WWE and TNA are working together again.
Did you see what happened like just before we started this? Jordan Grace?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. And somebody was saying like TNA, I don't know. They says like AJ could go to TNA because of that. So yeah.
You know,
could be interesting.
I believe in Joe Hendry, TNA, WWE. I mean, it's right there. Joe Hendry can just come to WWE.
Oh, dude.
Big pop. I mean,
imagine Joe Hendry and LA
have him at
Knights
Clash.
Team Champs.
Have Joe Hendry at Clash. I mean,
yep.
They love him everywhere. I mean, he's from Ireland, if I'm not mistaken.
For sure.
So that's not far from Scotland. I mean,
they would know his song for sure.
Oh yeah, that'd be fun, but that's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
But Sunday night, we had a really long pay-per-view for AEW Double or Nothing. I mean, a great opening match between Will Ospreay and Roderick Strong. They keep building the story of Ospreay not wanting to hit the
Tiger Drive 96, I think.
Yeah, Tiger Driver. And it almost cost Ospreay the match, which I thought it would make sense if he did lose it.
Yeah.
Because, like, don't really need to take the title off Roderick. He doesn't really need to hold that title right now. But he ends up winning, and it was a great match. Maybe his worst, I'm not going to say it's a bad worst match, but it was kind of his worst match so far on AEW.
Yeah, it was, but it was still a great match.
It was still a great match,
funny.
yeah.
Yeah, and Roddy's the man. His backbreakers are always very impressive. So I thought this was a good mix. The only problem I had with the match is when Ospreay almost fell on his head. We need to protect.
Yes, early in the match. Oh my goodness,
that was a bad bump. But he looked good. Like he didn't look concussed at all in the match.
No, not at all.
I was okay with it,
fine.
but yeah, it was a tough watch whenever he fell like that.
But maybe the biggest talking point of this pay-per-view happened right after. You had Adam Cole come out, and then MJF returns. I mean, they had a really good shedding of the skin kind of moment.
Yeah.
Like him just throwing the devil mask. They're showing all of his old stuff, his attire and everything. They're just showing all of that, and then he comes out in the suit, like not suit, but the jacket suit.
The Triple H jacket.
Jean jacket, yeah.
Yeah.
Looks pretty badass. I mean, I'm excited for this new era of MJF. Are we probably gonna get MJF versus Adam Cole in London again?
I don't know. It's interesting. Like you were saying, that he was kind of shedding the skin, and he kicked Adam Cole in the
Yeah.
And he said he's done wearing masks, and he's not a phony, and I think he's done wearing the scarf too. So I think we could just be done with this altogether. But eventually, we're definitely gonna come back to this match. But I think MJF could be going for gold. Honestly, he could be in the Owen Hart Cup and win it all.
Do you think they want to tie up loose ends before?
I don't. No? I think they could have just like the symbolism of him just beating up Adam Cole. I think that could just be it.
And because how long is Cole still on the shelf for?
I'm not sure, but he didn't look too bad. He took a bump, so he's got to be somewhat soon. But I'm not too sure how soon they want to rush into that, just because all the fans kind of soured to it whenever they were both injured, and there was such a big layoff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, the next match was the Bang Bang Gang versus the Death Triangle. I mean, it's a fun match. The only thing I didn't understand was having them pin Pac.
Yeah.
Like, you think with him coming back, they'd want to give him something, like they wouldn't want him to lose, like him to get pinned.
Yeah, so that's I think really anybody in that match taking a pin for me kind of sucks. It's just I guess they kind of make it make sense when Juice Robinson returns and interferes, and that's how they ended up winning. So I guess it kind of gives a excuse to Pac on why he lost.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
This was kind of the slow part of the pay-per-view, these two matches, and Toni Storm versus Serena Deeb. Like, I heard coming into the match that this was probably going to be this could be like a show stealer. And I mean, that's fine. I mean, we all know Toni Storm's going to win. Nothing really else to say about it.
I thought it was really good. I thought the Stormbreaker off the top rope or the middle rope was pretty crazy. I don't think I've seen Toni Storm do that in AEW, so that was pretty cool. I just think the fans were kind of dead at the beginning, but towards the end, the last 5 minutes, it really got going.
I mean, I can understand, because when I got to this match, I'm like, okay, this is the third match in, and I'm counting. Yeah. There's still 6-7 matches to go.
Yeah,
and it's
it got worse towards the middle. Yeah, this is just the beginning. Yeah,
but I mean, so it's kind of can't really blame fans for getting a bit tired. But the next match, this got me going. Orange Cassidy versus Trent Beretta. The start of this match. Orange Cassidy returns, Where Is My Mind? That's one of my favorite songs in general, so I was going crazy for it. Didn't feel like the crowd went as crazy as I did. I wonder if that's just because they like Jane better, or if they just, I don't know, weren't as into it at the time.
Yeah. Also, like the other theme's been kind of going for a while, so maybe
Yeah,
some of the newer fans didn't recognize it. They're in Vegas too, so they could be casual fans.
that's true.
Yep.
Cassidy picks up the win. I know a lot of people thought Trent Beretta would win and try to build him up more,
Yeah, I don't
but
think Tony's booked Orange to lose on pay-per-view a lot, so yeah, I
no,
was
he hasn't.
expecting Orange to win.
That's fair. But then Beretta left and like went out the crowd, and I thought they were gonna bring something up about that later on in the show, but they didn't. But later on, they
Yeah.
did have Don Callis say he's offering a contract, we assume for Orange Cassidy to join the Don Callis family. Like he didn't specifically say Cassidy's name, but he said, but it's like he implied it.
Mhm.
So I wonder if they're gonna trick Cassidy coming out. I don't think he would join the family, but
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
they're
it's
gonna
gonna be
trick
a
him coming
double
out.
cross. I think he's gonna offer it to Trent instead, because Trent
Yeah,
said he's like done and all this stuff. So I think he's gonna
that's
join.
yeah, that's what I was about to say. And like I think that's what's gonna happen as well.
Yeah.
The next match for the FTW Championship, Hook versus Shibata versus Jericho.
The
They
learning
brought out
tree.
the learning tree. Yep. They brought out the dice for this match.
The
I
dice.
mean,
Oh, that was great.
that was pretty good. I mean, not really surprised Jericho won. He just won the title, so it makes sense for him to hold it in that sense.
Yeah.
But they had
Obviously, they have people who don't like Jericho, and they're just gonna say whatever he does is bad. But I thought the match was fun. I think the only
yep,
complaint is time. Really, like you can do this match in like 8.5, 9 minutes. You
yeah.
really
It
can.
doesn't need to be another
But
20-minute
maybe they could
feud.
condense the time, or they can just put this on the main event of Dynamite and not put it on the pay per view at all. So you
Honestly,
know, it just it was a good match, but just a long show in the middle of. It was a decent match in the middle of a long show. So that's the
because
only way
this
to describe it.
match was like the last match before we got to like the final 5 matches that I were most excited for. That I was most excited for. So it's like I'm watching this, it's kind of good, but I'm also just looking forward to the next match. So it kind of just takes away the fun.
Yeah.
But Jericho wins with the help of I forgot his name.
Brian Keith. Brian Keith
Brian Keith.
turned. Yep.
I know nothing about him personally. I mean,
He's a bounty hunter. He's pretty good. I've seen him on Collision a little bit. That's kind of where he's been at on Collision. So
okay,
I've seen him a little bit.
makes sense. But then the next match, I had higher hopes for this: Moxley versus Takeshita. Like this kind of felt like the Gunther versus Randy match, where it's like you have these two big names that are great wrestlers, and you go in expecting to have a great match, and they do, but it's like there's nothing mind blowing about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think they're just missing some stakes. Maybe if it was for the title instead of an eliminator. See,
I
my
thought it
thing,
should have been if
yeah,
Takeshita was losing, it should have been for the title.
yeah, that's
Like,
that's kind of what I was thinking because I kind of thought Takeshita might win because it was
yeah,
eliminated.
I did too. I
Yeah,
was surprised when Moxley won.
yeah, it was a really good match, but definitely missing some stakes. But other than
For
that,
sure.
nothing bad here wrestling wise. Always gonna get good matches from Takeshita.
Of course. Now, this match was a roller coaster of Adam Copeland versus Malachi Black, the barbed wire Hell in a Cell match. I mean, not Hell in a Cell, steel cage match. This thing was crazy. They started off having a good match, and then they get out of the ring. I can't remember how. I think they break the door open somehow.
Yeah, I don't think AEW has like a rough out ring in the steel cages. They normally
No.
bust out, so that's kind of normal in the
So
AEW cage
they
matches.
get out there. You have Malachi Black on one side, Edge on the other. Then you have the rest of you have Brody
The House
King
of
and
Black.
the House of Black and Buddy Matthews come out. And I'm just calling everybody their WWE name, but that's fine. They
Yeah,
come out,
sorry.
stand next to Black. They look, and then they move next to Edge's side. And I went crazy because I was not expecting that both of them. I was not expecting both of them to go by the side. The crowd went crazy. I was fully convinced that Edge turned them to his side, and then they
They
attacked him.
sold it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They sold it amazingly. I think earlier, we'll get back to this, but then they go back in the ring. They're beating up Edge, and then it hits the Brood. You have Brody King and Matthews both just like going down to the ground, holding their heads. Gangrel comes out. I'll let you talk.
Yeah, Gangrel comes in from behind them, takes them out, and then this is where the match got pretty controversial. Edge had got Malachi on the table. He wrapped him up in barbed wire, and then he goes to the top and jumps off, and he basically does a pencil dive,
Yeah,
kind of elbow drop, and broke his leg in the process. But he did
and
finish the match and win.
it was announced it was a fractured tibia.
Yep.
I mean,
So,
I was watching it, and I was like, no way, Edge is about to do this at near 50 years old. And then I watched him go down, and I'm like, why is he not diving? And then he goes for like they call it an elbow drop. I was like, oh my goodness, Edge, you cannot be doing this, man. We got the Team AEW versus Team Elite match later on in the show. We'll have all the craziness we need then, which we had. Like that part, you did not need that dive or elbow drop.
Yeah, I thought he should have done from the top rope instead of going up all the way. And but Edge for the love of the game, entertaining us
for the
for
love of the game.
50 years. So respect to Edge.
Yep. I've already talked about the Monet Willow match. Do you have anything else to add on to it?
I thought it might be the match of the weekend for me. I thought it was really good. Mercedes, you could tell she still got it. Willow's just such a good face. So like the booking might be controversial to put the title on Mercedes because it definitely could hinder Willow. But I think with Statlander and Stokely turning on her after the match, that's gonna give the heat back on Statlander and Stokely and get the fans behind Willow still. So I think they could definitely like I see what they're doing, but it's definitely a risk taking the title of Willow because she was on fire. The fans are definitely getting behind her.
For sure. Yeah, I thought it was a good match. Like, I mean, this point I was getting pretty tired. Like the next match, Swerve versus Christian, I honestly don't remember a single thing from this match.
I went back and rewatched it. It was great. It was great. Anything Christian does is great, bro.
I bet it was. It was what, 11 o'clock at this time?
Yeah.
11:30 probably. I mean, I don't know. Like I was out of it. I was ready for the main event, by the end of the main event, I was wide awake. I mean, the start of the match, they've everybody come out, they're playing their music. They start fighting. You have the Young Bucks. I'm not sure which one it is. I think it was
Nicholas.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Nicholas.
Your EVP.
Who's like, play our new theme song. They start playing his new theme song. Bryan Danielson beats him up, takes the mic and says, play the best wrestling theme song of all time. And the final countdown goes, and they're having a montage of moments during the final countdown. They have, oh my goodness, they have Darby Allin doing a coffin drop off the.
That was the best sequence whenever he jumped off as they were singing Final Countdown. It was crazy.
And it happened at the drop. It's the final countdown. He drops. Oh my goodness. It was perfect. Yeah. I mean, oh brother, I was going crazy.
Yeah, I thought the scapegoat getting set on fire was pretty crazy too. I don't know if we've seen any fire spots like that since some Mick Foley and Dudley Boy spots in ECW and Mick Foley with Edge. That was pretty crazy.
I mean, they also had Perry run over Darby Allin in a pile of trash, and then he knocks himself out because he hit too hard. I mean, that was pretty crazy because Darby Allin got ran over by a bus, so they're recreating that. I mean, you had the poker chips where they did the VP trigger.
Yep.
You also had the funny moment during the final countdown where one of the Jacksons, they're like, man, you got to turn this off. We're on a budget here. We have to pay $200,000 every time this plays. Like, that was pretty funny.
I don't
I
think they're
understand it.
joking too.
No, probably not. But
Yeah,
then,
I thought it was interesting that that the scapegoat ended up getting the pin and pinning Brian Danielson. I think
yeah.
that's probably the direction we're going forward. A singles feud between them.
hmm Yeah, it really helps build up Jack Perry. I mean,
Yeah, it'll be interesting if Brian can get him over. It's a tough task because there's a lot of doubters out there for Jack
Perry.
Perry,
Yeah.
but we'll see. I think he's a pretty good wrestler.
He
It's
is.
going to be all about becoming a good character. I think he
hmm
can talk. I mean, it's pretty obvious. We've seen him
Yeah.
talk recently, so it should be good.
But then, what, in my opinion, was the craziest spot? They had Darby Allin tie up his leg on like what you would see a title on a ladder match on, and they lift him up, hanging upside down from his leg. They get shoes that have tacks on the bottom of them, and they do the double super kick onto his face there. I mean, just them hanging him upside down. That might be one of the craziest spots I've ever seen in a wrestling match.
Yeah,
It's
it
like,
was pretty
especially with the
crazy.
story that his ankle's broken. Like,
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that.
mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah,
Like
Darby's pretty crazy. I honestly don't get surprised by anything he does. He's
no,
probably the craziest wrestler of all time. This dude loves
gotta be.
pain. So yeah,
I mean, and then you had Daniel Bryan getting some momentum, or Bryan Danielson getting some momentum. He's in the ring, and the whole time I'm just staying there. I'm like, take Darby down, help that
right.
man,
The
save your
fans were
teammate.
chanting it. It was so funny.
Oh my
Yep.
goodness! Like we want Darby, or I think that's what they were saying.
Take him
And
down, something like that.
or I don't know, man. I was going crazy myself. I couldn't really hear the
Please help
fans.
Darby. That's what they said.
What was it?
Please help Darby.
Oh, I mean that's basically what I was saying. I mean, the blood's rushing to his head. He's hanging up there upside down. I was happy they only took him that high.
I'm surprised Sting didn't like pull up and like raise him up and help him or something.
Honestly, I
Dude, that would
mean,
have been crazy if Sting came back and clapped the Elite. Oh, I
oh
wish that
yeah.
would have happened.
Ah. I mean, so what do you think of the Elite winning?
Yeah, I think it's the right thing to do. You can't kill the new storyline a month in. Tony Khan's back. We saw him. He was rolling down
Yep.
the ramp. So there should be at least somebody to combat, or Tony Khan will help put somebody in place to combat the Elite. I think Swerve is probably going to come for them because they forced him to face Christian, and
Yep.
so I think Swerve could be facing Okada maybe or something like that, or going after the Elite.
Possible.
And I think we also could see MJF going after the Elite because
Mm-hmm.
he did show his AEW
Yep.
tattoo and he's all waving the AEW flag. So
Yep.
I think we could see that.
Yeah, I wonder how long for. But this does make the question. It's like they could have had Team AEW win and then put more at risk in the next match where the Elite where the Elite could have won. It would be like an ownership, like control of AEW or something. I mean, something crazy like that
Mhm.
match. But
Yeah.
I said it when Tony Khan was thrown out. I was like, oh, Tony Khan's going to turn on AEW. Like that's some Eric Bischoff type shit right there.
No, I hope not. I hope not because Eric Bischoff would go crazy on Twitter.
He would. Yeah, he would. I mean, I
Yeah,
still think it's possible that something like that happens.
it's possible,
I think
but
it could be really good entertainment. Like, it wouldn't be as extreme as Eric Bischoff was with WCW and the NWO, but it could just be like a thing where he's like, yeah, I'm with them.
yeah, I could see it.
But is there anything else you want to talk about from this weekend for the future or anything in wrestling?
I think we covered most stuff. Looking forward to SmackDown and Dynamite this week. MJF's coming back to Dynamite, hopefully. So
Yeah,
that'll
hopefully.
make Dynamite a lot. That'll probably give him a pretty good boost in ratings, honestly, because
He's
he's
a
a big
draw.
draw. So
Yep.
he's a game changer.
Probably their biggest draw.
Yeah. Him and probably Osprey or
Yeah.
Kenny.
Maybe Kenny. I don't know if he's still the biggest draw. Like, I mean,
It
he could
just
be.
depends on like the name, the North.
Mhm.
It's hard to tell with the North American fans just because Osprey and Kenny just got to North America. It's kind of hard to gauge who's
Yeah.
bigger.
I think it's Osprey and MJF.
Yeah, that's who I would say.
But thank you everybody for watching this episode. Tune in next week as we're probably going to be giving our top 10 matches that we'd like to see at a Forbidden Door between AEW and WWE. I know one wrestler that we're both going to have on there and probably 2 different matches, Takeshita.
Yes.
Because I have an idea for my match, and I think it could be the best match in wrestling history.
Ever.
Ever. I'm genuinely serious. Their styles would work very well together. And it's there's so many options for Takeshita especially. So
yeah. There's a lot of talent right now in WWE and AEW, so
for
a
sure.
lot of good matches to pick from.
Yep. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great rest of your day.